Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's me, Paddy from across the shuck, and you're always very welcome back to the channel. And if you enjoyed this video, would you do me a favour before you leave? Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. It's free and you'll just get to see more of my videos because they'll be put up on YouTube. And comment is always nice. Love to hear your comments. So let's get away from that. Here's a very interesting video, I think, to a lot of people, especially people who collect. I live in the UK, obviously, so my brand loyalty is going to be UK. And you know I'm an Arthur Wright and Ashley Harrison fanboy. Make no apologies for that. I've got a lovely bit of news for you. Well, I think it's a lovely bit of news. We're going to be doing a Paddy and Pals club knife. Now, this is in its infancy. It'll be in the first quarter, probably we'll have them ready to sell. And we're hoping to hit maybe around the 50. If we can get there, brilliant. But anywhere from 30 to 50 for the first lot. And what we're going to be doing is an Arthur Wright model each time. And this one is one that most people don't really have. This is a tackler. And this blade shape is somewhere between, I would say, a sheep's foot and a Wharncliffe. It's along them lines, somewhere between. I'll do a proper in-depth video closer to time, but it's going to be in this new Eco wood. This is the wood that Arthur Wright has decided to use instead of rosewood, which is getting incredibly hard to find now. It's becoming nearly an endangered species, and it's getting more expensive as well. So this is another Eco. It's EKKI. It's in the family of hardwoods. It's actually a much denser, harder wood than rosewood is. It's very good for resisting bugs. It's very good for dampness, for water protection. So it's a really good change out from rosewood. But I just think it's lovely because it's a mixture. It's not just a one dead colour. It is definitely all bits and mixture in it, and I just think it's gorgeous. And these are mostly working knives you're going to use. These are knives to use and carry and get the enjoyment out of them. NC70 steel, carbon steel, so you'll get a nice patina on it after you use it if you're going to use it in hot stuff or citrus fruits. But as a knife, it is beautiful. It has the normal amazing opening and closing. The blade sits up lovely so you can pinch it. You don't have to use it. Locks up beautifully. Lovely spring on it, strong spring. This is a super knife to choose, I think, for a club knife, because I wanted the club knife to be one that everybody could afford to buy. The difference between the club knife and this one is going to be liners. We're going to have green liners in it just to go with the channel, and they'll be just for us. Green liners and everything else the same. So these knives are going to be around, and this is just around £40 when we do them, because they're being specially made with the green liners just for us. I'm chuffed, really. I've spoken to Michael recently, and there doesn't seem to be any problem. Should be by the end of the first quarter, as long as we get numbers sorted out. Now these are £40, and I'm going to say only £40 for this simple reason. If you'll want in one of these, now it'll not be to the new year, so don't worry about it. You haven't missed out. If you just come in, you haven't missed out. Probably in January, middle of January, I'll put an order. I'll put a notification out on my channel, probably 2 or 3 times in a week. If you want one, they have to be paid up front. Now, it will be to a PayPal account. We're trying to get one maybe sorted out just for Paddy and Pals, or it'll probably be Mikey's because he's in the UK and he can go and pay. I want these paid for before they come. It's £40. Are you taking a chance? Not really. This is Arthur Wright. I mean, if you collect Arthur Wrights, you know they're a fantastic work knife. And this is handmade knife for £40 with green liners and this wood. I just think it will look spectacular, just different. So we'll talk about that in January, but it's definitely coming. The works have been started now. The second thing I'm going to say is I'm going to do this knife. This is mostly just, I got a new George Wolstenholm. I traded Mikey for this one. He had managed to pick it up and I traded for him. I got this knife last year at the Sharp Show, which is an old knife, new stock in mint condition. And I just adore this. What a lovely big blade on it. Just a single blade. So what I've got here, and these are not coming cheap because they're getting older and it's getting harder to find them. So they don't come cheap. So this is the one I got from Mikey yesterday in a trade, and it's an absolute dinger because it is a match. The bone is darker on the side. So they're exactly the same model, same size, except this is a single bladed knife, and this one is a Stockman. And I didn't have a Stockman in any of my British knives. It's not a pattern that I've picked up before. It's got that lovely big blade, the lovely nail nick on it. Slender but beautiful looking blade. This is more like a gentleman Stockman. This is not one you're going to listen to that snap. It hasn't got a huge pull opening, but the spring is there if you like. Look at that. I mean, that is a fantastic sheep's foot. You could get so much work done with that. Nice and thin, plenty of scope for work with that. Beautiful knife. And then the last but not least, look at that beautiful spay blade. That is one of the nicest. I love the shape. It goes up and down, a real definite cut off. That is a spay blade to get Paddy excited. I love it. Absolutely love it. And it's more useful than the sort of rounded over, sort of half and half. This is a proper spay. To me, this is just beautiful. Lovely belly on it. It's nearly like if you cut that off, it's very like the Benchmade 940 look. So you're going to get just a beautiful. I love it. I just compared that to a modern knife. There you go. Anyway, the jigged bone is outstanding. It is beautiful. I really do love this show side. Look at the depth of colour in that. That is just flipping gorgeous. It really is beautiful. Fit and finish on both of these is out of this world. It is spectacular, highly polished. This would have been the higher range of the wolstenholm knives in its day. An absolute stunner. It is beautifully, I can't tell you. You'd swear that just came out of the factory today. It's beautiful. I reckon this was the early 2000s, so it's not an old knife, but they didn't make a whole lot of them that I know of. But honestly, it is just, what a collection filler. And I'll do a proper review on that alone once I've carried and used it and see what it's like. I'll do a bit of cutting. But to have two of them in my collection, that just blows me away. I love it. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about wolstenholm. Wolstenholm are now made under the umbrella of the Eggington Group. Gosh, Stephen, my head is terrible. The Eggington Group here in Sheffield. And they do wolstenholm. They also do Rogers, William and Joseph. And they also do Iberson. And wolstenholm is the one that I've collected most of, simply because they were made in their thousands upon thousands. Wolstenholm was a local boy, did good. He had factories here in the States. He was just reaping it in, right up until the price war between here and the American set in, and then we were sort of priced out of the American market, which is fair enough. That's business. But we still hold an awful lot of bitterness. I do anyway, but there we go. Joking. So I've over this last lot of years collected them. I don't go mad on them. I really pick ones that are what I think are significant. I mean, all these on this side and this bottom one is all wolstenholm. These two are made from the head cutler. This is two custom knives from Stephen Cocker, who's now the head cutler there. And this one is a Rogers, and this one's a Rogers. So I need to pick up more of the Rogers and Iberson. I haven't really seen an Iberson that I've wanted to buy yet. And I know there's bound to be some out there. So if you have one, hit me up. We can sell or trade or whatever. But I do love having this collection. Now, you know, it's not the only collection I have of I also like to have an old and a new model of the other British companies or English companies, because these are all Sheffield. Um, this is Taylor's Eyewitness, a lovely old one, a lovely brand new one in Desert Ironwood. This one's just an absolute stunner. Slim, you could call it a slim trapper. I would call it just a slim jackknife, whatever. Two blades, a main and that. And here's another one that I've just recently got. This is Vulcan. Or Vulcan is the headliner, the name. Gosh, just gone out of my blooming head now. T. Elling. T. Ellings. Just done a video on this. You'd think I'd remember, wouldn't you? But it's just a little small penknife with the most gorgeous jigging on it. That jig bone is beautiful. So, and then I have my Arthur Wright and Ashley Harrison, which is an ever-growing collection because I just love them. But maybe a bit of sad news for a lot of people. I know it will be. It looks like Eggington are going to be selling out their wolstenholm and that brand. It looks like it's going to be going abroad, which is sad, but I believe the factory's going to stay and the knives are going to be made in the UK, so it softens the blow. When I hear the full story, because that's a bit of Chinese whispers, and sometimes they're just not quite on the button, but I'll let you know anytime I know. But it looks like it's going, and it looks like it's heading in the way of not China, the good China, Japan. So I'll let you know any more that comes out. I'm sure they'll be doing, if they haven't already done it. I don't know. It's just something I heard in the Chinese whisper, but it seems to be true. I just love this collection. And again, like, I'm very picky. This year I've been spoilt rotten. We've had the 400-year-old Cutlers Association, which is on that bolster there. It's very fine, but in real life it's not. You know, it's done really well. And you can see it from 1624 to 2024. The Cutler Society has run completely all that time. And they're the ones that decide what Sheffield knives should be, what the standard should be, all that sort of thing. So a really old 400-year-old organisation, which, again, not many countries are going to have, that has been in continuous use, never stopped. So I managed to get this. This has only been made this year. So if you head over to Eggington, I think there's some left. But once they're gone, they're gone. That'll not be made again. So that'll be a very special knife to have in time to come. I also got this beautiful, beautiful knife. Look at that wood. Is that not just stunning? The back's maybe not as great, but the show side is just delicious. And you have the IXL for wolstenholm there. And it is a beautiful pen blade. Isn't that just, well, it's a spear, master spear, whatever you want to call it. But it is just a beautiful, beautiful spear point. I just love it. And the IXL on the stand and wolstenholm as usual. But there's a gun stock, a one-bladed gun stock. Again, you hear me saying it all the time. The perfect pattern for a gun stock. You put a second blade in, it doesn't feel anywhere near the same as this, but it's a lovely chunk of wood. Really lovely knife. Well made, lovely knife. I really enjoy it. Fit and finish, pretty good. Pretty good. A couple of slight little, but they are really only slight little bit of gapping up there, but nothing. Nothing that's going to turn me off that knife. And these top two, let's talk about these. These are just beautiful. Right, they are beautiful, and you can see the wolstenholm stamp. I mean, it's mirror polished, you know, and it's case quality mirror polishing. I mean, they really have hafted these within an inch of their lives. I need to clean mine more often, but I just don't do it. I clean it if I really have to, because I don't want to take any of the surface metal off. So that's my excuse. But to have these both now is beautiful. I'll be doing a separate video on this, but I just wanted to show you some of the collection I have and that I'm really glad that I have. This was a gift from Frank at Fraymar Knives. He got this off a travelling salesman. It's not just great, because the wolstenholm travelling salesman kept working right up until he retired. For years upon years, and him and Frank were friends, and he gave him a few that he had left over. This was a very basic, but nonetheless super knife. Really nice knife. None of your blade's not going to be highly polished in this. This is a very basic satin finish on it, but it's a great knife. I've put an edge on it now, so it's a cutting knife, it's a working knife, and then just a pen blade to go with that. Listen to the snap on that. Fantastic. This is probably one of the first ones I got, which is a Wolstenholm single-bladed Barlow, and this is just another sweet little Barlow. And I compare their Barlows, funny, in another video, I think it's one I've done recently, to this is a Boker Barlow. And you can see their Barlows are very, very similar. Considering, you know, Boker have been making knives for hundreds of years. A long time they've been making knives. And you can see the real similarity between the Boker. So if you've got a small Boker, this is very similar to it. Very similar. Lovely little knife. Slim, little pocket knife, little useful knife. Oh, just beautiful. And then I collect the older ones. And nowadays, I mean, a lot of them are battered and bruised. This one is just a lovely little, I'm saying it's little, it's beautifully done, or was beautifully done. It has got a bit rough around the edges over the years. It's been used and loved. But again, a little pen blade with that, a nice little tiny, it's a peanut size. But it is lovely, and this is just plastic. Jigged plastic, but it's done really well. You would find it hard to notice it. And here's one of the dime knives that Wolstenholm would have made years ago, and they called them a dime because they were sold for a dime. It's just a stamped bit of metal blade. This has been used, but it's been pretty well loved because it's still in. There's plenty of blade left, but it's just a lovely knife. And this would have been one you'd have bought off just a hardware shop anywhere. Probably on a bit of card hanging up. This is another little small sort of peanut size, maybe a little bit bigger, but still in fantastic shape. Two-bladed, and this is again, lovely little pen knife. Look at that tiny little quill pen. I mean, that's where they were still coming out of that era when these were made, where quills were used. This is a lovely little example of an opposite end. It's just gorgeous, really lovely. And here's another, was the first one I got in this. I have about 4 of these now. Thank you to Messer HQ, who kindly gave me some. I love this. This is the office knife. I just love, they come in all different, the fonts are different in so many, and I've got 4 with completely different fonts, and the pride of my collection. There's a video on all them that I've done before. This again was another Christmas present from Frank, which I'm so appreciative of. This is another serpentine jackknife. Beautiful knife. It's been well used. And it still gets used because I carry and use this regular. It is a stunning knife. Wolstenholm really did make a gorgeous knife. They really did. This is one of my little prized possessions. This is a delightful little mother of pearl Wolstenholm in mint condition, new with box. How rare is that? Tiny little blades, and this really would have been like even a lady's or a gentleman's knife for cutting the quill to write a letter. 2 beautiful little pen blades. I love this. Still got snap in it. Never comes out of the box, only to show on videos because I just want to keep it like that. And not just Wolstenholm, let's go into the Rogers. This is a Rogers knife that I use constantly. I just love this. Look at the feathering on that buffalo horn. Or cow's horn, I have no idea. But it is just the most beautiful. The depth of that feathering. Not so great on the show side. The pile side is the star of this show. It's a fantastic, solid little knife. And this is a Rogers. It just works. It's so lovely in hand, and I use this regularly because it's just got to be used. It's a cam tang on it, beautiful. And then this year I managed to get this one, which is another Rogers, which is the star and the Maltese cross. And look at that, how beautiful a lamb's foot is that. They don't come any nicer than that. Again, highly polished, beautifully done, nice bit of stag on it, good old knobbly stag on that bone, on that handle. Isn't it gorgeous? Beautiful. And I love a bolster with writing, as you know, but that is one of the sweetest lamb's foot blades I've ever had or probably ever will. It's just gorgeous. I love it. And again, beautiful. And then the head cutler over there, he made me this one, which is a little half whittler. Oh, let me just do it both on the one side. There we go, a little half whittler. Beautiful little Warncliffe. And then the little beautiful little pen blade. Really great for whittling. You've got a real good dynamic point on it. Just stunning. Beautiful. And bone. He jigs his own bone, Stephen Cocker, and that is his starring role. That is beautiful. And this is the first one I got off him, is this Barlow, which is lovely. This is wood, jigged wood. I just adore this little knife. I love the bolster on this knife. It's just a real gorgeous knife. And there you go, a lovely clip. Stunning clip. So, oh gosh almighty, I've got the jitters. So that's my sort of, it's part of my collection. I have a few more, not that many. I have a lot. The other ones I have are smaller knives, and you don't have time to talk through them all. And I managed to get through all these with you. I hope you enjoyed it. This is an absolute belter. I am so taken with it. So thank you, Mikey, for the trade. This is gorgeous. It will have a review of its own next week. And again, I'll cut with it. I'll maybe even take a wee video doing some cutting with it, because this is just stunning, lickable knife. This is gorgeous. And again, to have a single blade and a Stockman in my collection, outstanding. You're probably going to see that twice, because for somebody who didn't like Stockmans, I seem to have over 10 now. So again, my journey through this knife world has been, it's definitely not been boring. And since I've gone on to traditional knives, I have so much pleasure of coming in and just sitting with these, pulling them out, having a good, just a lovely think about the generations of men who made these knives, and how hard it was for some compared to those today. But it's still a hard life. You have to work incredibly hard to make any money in Sheffield, because you've got to have a quantity of knives out, and you've got to keep that quality up. And that's a hard thing to do when you're making handmade knives quickly. So that's why, especially the more basic ones, they're not always perfect, showroom condition. They're just made to work, and they all work. I've never had one that I couldn't do work with, and that's the joy of them. And when you're paying anywhere in the high 30s to £40 for a handmade knife, come on, you just can't beat that. I mean, that is something that's dying out. This sort of art form is dying out. Don't let it die out. Buy them. Get over to these companies. Arthur Wright and Son, Taylor's Eyewitness, Iberson's, where they have a couple of different brands under their hat. Buy them. Keep them in business, because if they go out of business, they'll not come back again. They'll just not come back again. Nobody's going to risk the effort. And I know the effort that Arthur Wright and Sons, there's 3 of them there, they work their backside off. They work their backside off just to keep that tradition. And Beth is in the last year of her 5-year apprenticeship, hopefully her last year of a 5-year apprenticeship, and she has had to work her little backside off to keep in that company. And I have more power to them. They have my utmost respect, because they're keeping a tradition for us, and we need to support them. There we go. My rant is over. Take care, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. You'll look forward to that, I hope so. And we'll obviously compare the two together when I do the review next week. All the very best to you. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. It's the end of the week for most. And take care. Cup of tea time. Bye-bye now. Oh, by the way, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a little cup of tea down below in the description. You'll see how to do that. Take care now. Bye-bye.